Alright, so we've got a lot of ground to cover and I want to get through this ASAP so I can get back to playing more Tekken, so we are just gonna start right off! The newest mechanics added into Tekken 8 are the heat system, recoverable health, and chip damage. Heat is a once per round resource that can last up to 15 seconds and encourages aggressive gameplay. You can enter heat mode either through heat burst or heat engager. Heat burst is mapped by default to 2+3 or right punch and left kick, and when pressed will throw out an attack. If the attack lands, whether on hit or on block, you will be at a minor frame advantage. You can cancel the attack and just go for an outright raw activation by inputting a backdash immediately after bursting. Keep in mind that using burst drains 5 seconds off of your heat gauge. Heat Engager is a category of attacks that upon damaging a standing opponent instantly activates heat mode and additionally places you next to them with significant frame advantage. Using your engager does not drain your gauge, so you'll be given the full 15 seconds to aggress your opponent with. How you can tell which moves are heat engagers are by this symbol on a character's move list. They're also conveniently one of the first entries in the All Techniques tab. Once you're in heat mode, you're granted several benefits, namely that all of your attacks deal chip damage on block, you retain more recoverable health while in heat, your character can now use enhanced versions of certain moves, often costing your heat gauge, some characters will be given access to new moves entirely, you'll be able to heat dash, you'll be able to heat smash. A heat dash occurs when you hold down the forward input after attacking with an engager while in heat mode. Your character will flash white and dash up close to their opponent, allowing you to follow up your offensive momentum. Unlike an engager, a heat dash can be activated on hit, on block, or on an airborne opponent. Keep in mind that using your heat dash will exhaust the remainder of your heat gauge. A heat smash is a powerful attack that shares its input with heat burst. It is functionally similar to Tekken 7's rage drive. If you land a heat smash on an opponent, you'll do a ton of damage. But whether or not your heat smash is plus on block, safe on block, or punishable on block is going to vary from character to character. Like heat dash, using heat smash will exhaust the remainder of your heat gauge. Lastly, you should know how the heat timer works. Your heat gauge will steadily count down from 15 or 10 seconds until it's all gone. But the timer will pause when you're continuously damaging your opponent, or your opponent is downed. If you're hit while in heat, you will lose a portion of time relative to the strength of the attack that landed. This includes getting comboed. Recoverable health appears as this transparent portion of your health bar and can occur under several conditions. The most common times you'll take recoverable damage is when you're getting hit while airborne, getting hit while downed, or by getting hit with chip damage. If you have recoverable health and an attack lands while you're standing, not only will you take damage, but a portion of said health will also disappear. In order to regain your lost health, you must attack your opponent. It doesn't matter if they take damage or block your attack, you just need to not whiff. Chip damage occurs after you've blocked certain moves or block heat-enhanced attacks. Chip damage is always inflicted as recoverable health. You can't get KO'd by chip damage. Rage, for the most part, exists in Tekken 8 as it did in 7, with some minor changes to make room for and work in conjunction with the new mechanics. Rage drives no longer exist, having been replaced by heat smashes. You take less chip damage in Rage. The attack damage increase you get in Rage does not apply to any forms of chip damage. If you recover your health above the Rage threshold, you will still remain in Rage. Hitting your opponent with a Rage Art will erase all recoverable health they have. Sidesteps and sidewalking have been buffed to be more evasive and cover more distance. Running was reworked from Tekken 7. Inputting 3 forward inputs at range 0 to 1 lets your character sprint for a short period of time, allowing you to utilize any while running input. The instant while running technique is still important though, because some running moves are enhanced when just framed. Last but not least, backdashing has been reworked, but whether Korean backdashing has been nerfed or buffed is up in the air. Developer intent was to buff single backdashes while nerfing the efficacy of cancelled backdashes. However, everyone from every level is experiencing something different. Some feel like they've been buffed, some feel like it's the same as Tekken 7, some feel like they've been nerfed, which kind of reinforces the theory that yes, Bamco tweaked backdashes, but it does not manifest equally across the roster. I can kind of feel the effects of both. Singular backdashes do feel like they cover more distance, and if I try to Korean backdash with the rhythm I used in Tekken 7, it feels like I'm flailing in place. However, if I adjust the timing of when I backdash cancel, I can get familiar results. A couple hours later of refining the technique, and honestly, it feels like Tekken 7 movement but with better sidesteps. which I am absolutely okay with, by the way. If you want to keep going this direction and just slowly tweak the movement to resemble older Tekken games, then by all means, go for it. Tail spins have been replaced with a new bound mechanic called tornado attacks, which can be identified by this symbol. When a tornado attack is used on an airborne opponent, they will be sent spinning wildly into the air before landing a short distance away. Like in Tekken 7, you can only put your opponent into this state once per launch. Also be aware that some moves, either naturally or on counter hit attack, immediately launch your opponent into a tornado-bound state, preventing you from using it again. The inclusion of the heat system introduces two ways for you to extend your combos with, specifically burst and dash. When you land a heat burst or activate your heat dash on an airborne opponent, you'll knock them into a state as if you used a tornado attack. This means you can stack a heat-bound attack and a tornado-bound attack within the same combo. However, burst and dash follow the same rules for tornado attacks. You can only put your opponent into this state once per launch. Using a heat dash after using a heat burst will send your opponent skidding across the ground, and you can only really follow up with a low hitting attack. So basic combo theory in Tekken 8 looks like this: launch, filler, tornado attack, into ender. Launch, filler, tornado attack, filler, heat burst or dash, into an ender. Wall combos in Tekken 8 have also changed thanks to tornado attacks. Using a tornado attack on an opponent that's been wall splat will resplat them higher up, allowing for even more damage. Same rules apply here. You can't knock an opponent higher up the wall if you've already used a tornado attack earlier. Sidewall combos in Tekken 8 seem to have been real work. The game appears to aggressively realign any attack coming from off-axis when comboing someone who's been wall splat with their back flush against the wall. More testing needs to be done, but it looks like they want to prevent players from purposefully creating sidewall scenarios and instead let them happen organically. Infinite stages have been removed in Tekken 8 and have been instead replaced with extremely large arenas where it's unlikely the wall will become a factor during a match. Nevertheless, there is still a physical boundary present in every stage. There are two new additions to the Destructible environment: hard breaks and blasts. A hard wall or floor break requires two strong hits in order to punch through. A heat smash, however, can break through either in one hit. Activating a break of any kind reduces an opponent's recoverable health on top of dealing damage. Wall and floor blasts are parts of the arena that explode when a player is knocked into them. The explosion launches you into the air and places you next to your opponent in a bound state. Power crushes have been ported over from Tekken 7 and were slightly reworked and buffed. Everything is pretty much the same, except that any damage you take during a power crush is inflicted as recoverable damage. Absorbing an attack now enhances the properties of the move, which can mean, but are not limited to, one or several of the following qualities: increased damage, increased chip damage, less punishable on block or outright safe, will beat an opposing power crush, will beat an opposing attack reversal. Throws have been given some quality of life changes on top of being significantly buffed from Tekken 7, but still maintain their core functional identity. Most, if not all, throws track to both sides now. This is word for word what the game says, and I quote, "Many throws are designed to catch sidestepping opponents more easily. Crouch throws are unbreakable." Throwing someone in the middle of a power crush now plays this visual and auditory cue to further reinforce that the throw is unbreakable. This quality now also applies for throwing someone in the middle of an attack reversal. If a throw connects on counter hit, the throw break window shrinks. Or does it? I question the counter hit throw claim because after messing around in practice mode and analyzing the footage with my recording software, I don't think this is true at all. Using King, I wanted to find out by how much the throw break window shrinks. Timing it from the instant the throw is registered and measuring it until Kazuya turns transparent white, we have a 20-frame break window. Landing it on counter hit and landing it normally shows literally zero difference other than a visual cue. This also applies to command throws. Using Muscle Buster measured the exact same way, the throw break window is also 20 frames across both scenarios. I'll admit that I only tested this using King and Kazuya, but so far I don't see any real difference both in practice mode and in real matches. There are three possibilities I can think of for the discrepancy. 1. The developers, for whatever reason, chose not to implement the counter hit throw, but forgot to remove this entry in the help menu. 2. If counter hit throws do exist, then the tools in practice mode do not accurately indicate the throw break window difference other than the visual cue. 3. Again, assuming counter hit throws do exist, then it's really going to affect people who aren't good at throw breaking. If you find evidence otherwise of counter hit throws existing, please let me know in the comments below. 2 adjustments were made to the down state in Tekken 8. You can no longer counter hit launch an opponent using wake-up kicks. Certain attacks on a downed opponent will flip them over. The implications of this change are huge. There are certain situations in Tekken you can escape by staying on the ground and delaying your wake-up. But now, if your opponent reads that you like to stay on the ground, they can put you into some pretty fucked up situations if you aren't careful.
It's guaranteed to connect. It tracks the opponent as they're rolling on the ground. Get up from the ground, they die. If they stay on the ground, they die. So if you do recognize there's no tech roll, there's no holding back, yeah, go for it. Jab down back 4 into this string.
And finally, if at any point you need a refresher on what was just discussed, go into practice mode, pause, and in the menu navigate to the help section. You can brush up on the basics there. For all other things not mentioned, feel free to refer back to this video. Alright, we're done here. Fuck the outro. I'm gonna go play some Tekken! Hey, thanks again for tuning in, really appreciate it. Do me a favor and like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. It really helps out the channel. Alternatively, you can also pledge on my Patreon or buy me a coffee. While you're at it, go ahead and follow me on my other socials. Links in the description down below. For more content, feel free to check out some of the other videos on my channel. If video essays and reviews are more your thing, then head on over to my alt at youtube.com/Xanthem. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.